everybody! Welcome back to my channel. My name is Nettles. I love to write all things horror, and today I'm going to attempt to do another draft of flash fiction with me in real time. This time, I have a little bit of a different setup, so hopefully you can actually read what I'm writing as I draft it. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a different setup. Hopefully it works better. But I have already picked out my prompt, which is one of my own, and a painting as well, a Beksiński painting. Just like the other one, but a different painting that he's done. So I'm very excited, and let me pull up my little setup. So here we are. I've got my timer actually on my computer, not on the YouTube, so I can put it exactly where I want. I've got this painting of a creature. Not quite sure exactly what's going on, but it is quite thin and a dark torso. Red painted on the bindings on its face. It might be cloth, it might be spider webs, who knows? But it looks like the city beyond it is on fire. So, very cool. My prompt is prompt number 7 that I came up with. I think I was describing this actual painting for it. A creature scrambled on all fours around the camp complex, feasting on the horrors around it, the pain of those interred. The longer the camp is open, the larger and more haunting the creature becomes. So this will be a fairly dark piece. And yeah. I will do 2 20-minute sprints again and see where it leads. See how it takes us. So, to start, what do I want my opening image to be? I kind of just want to describe the painting and go from there. The buildings on fire, the smoke cloying at people's lungs, the skittering of the creature that feasts on fears and pain. Or do I want to do it where it is just recently, this camp is just recently built, and so the creature is small, and then do little snapshots of the camp getting worse and worse, and the creature getting more and more creepy? So we have 1,000 words. So if it was just 100, I would go straight to the camp on fire, crazy creature running around. But since we have 1,000, I may just go with the snapshots. So, not quite sure what the ending will be. It might end with a liberation and a killing of the creature. Or maybe somebody escapes and the creature escapes with them to feast on another group of humans. So, I kind of want a happier ending for this one, maybe. Just shake it up a little. So, yeah. Just look at these details. They're so cool. I don't know what you can see, because my face will be over part of this, but I can't see my face, so, yeah. Okay. So I have stared at it for about a minute, and I think it's time to just dive right in and start. My working title is The Camp, just so I can remember what prompt this is. Should probably save it. Save as The Camp. Okay. It's always good to save your work. And let's begin. There it is. Play. The land was leveled. I want to say scorched, or like all of the life removed. Like that, all life removed. Removed from the vicinity. To make way for... I want to name the camp. This is something fantastical. We're not going completely historical for any one specific type of interment. Let's see. What was his name? The artist's name is Beksiński. I will probably change that later on. But yeah, it's a cool, unique name. At least I've never heard of it before. Camp Beksiński. Stones were split with the ringing metal. What instrument do you use to break stones? Is it a pickaxe? Yeah, pickaxe. Pickaxes. Of those meant to live there. Thin wooden walls erupted from the barren soil. Barely enough to block the howling winds. Bunks were made from the pallets food arrived on for those in charge. None of it spared for those within. Don't want it to take that long. Weeks turn into months seems too long already, so it only took one night for the first shot to ring out. The first cry of the creature to be heard on the outskirts of Camp Beksiński. I don't want to say creature again. It's not quite a monstrosity yet. So what is a synonym for creature? The being. Being was small and thin, scrounging around on all four emaciated limbs. No eyes glinted in the torchlights. A monster of pure darkness. As the days trudged on, more shots rang out. The piles of corpses rose from the shallow graves. Testaments to the cruelty of humanity. Save. Okay. Outside the barbed fences. At night, the sounds of pilfered pockets and what else is the creature doing? So the creature is pilfering through the pockets. Broken dreams. Seeing the photographs in the pockets. It's the sound of pilfered pockets and broken dreams fill the air. Discarded photographs. Darkened by blood. Stains. Should be filled. Okay. Got 10 minutes left for this first sprint. So discarded photographs darkened by blood stains. Glitter the faces of those who held them dear, left to the whims of the wind. I don't think it's coming across that it's the creature pulling photographs out of the pockets. Sometimes people will stitch money into the seams and stuff of their clothes to hide them. What if they keep photographs in their clothes? So photographs formerly stitched into the seams of peasant clothing were now freed, darkened by blood stains. They littered the faces of those who once held them dear, left to the whims of the wind. Scratch. Hunched over creature. Scrambles over the piles. Picking at the open wounds left by the with each. Is he eating at the, like, is he nibbling on the people, or is it just a transfer of energy? I like the energy idea, like a Dementor. With each rattling breath, it consumed the dark miasma emanating from the I don't want to say pile of corpses again. From the evidence of each lungful caused its limbs to lengthen, torso to darken. I don't want to say dark miasma and then darken. Deepen with shadows. And nails to I don't want to say lengthen again. extend with broken bricks. Word got around of the monster of Beksiński. Eyes would peer into the darkness of starless nights, wondering if each rasping sound was, I don't want to say emanating again. I just said that in the last paragraph. Was a herald of damnation. Okay. Those interred thought of it as a personification of their suffering. While others deemed it summoning of something summoned by the blackest magics only. I don't want to see those turd again, but only the lesser folk knew. Those in turn thought of it as a personification of their own suffering, while others deemed it something summoned by the blackest of magic only the lesser folk knew. They would need to starve magic out of them faster. Okay. Looks like we have our little setup. The first night and like a couple weeks later. So it seems like we should do the time skip now to the end. I want to start with another onomatopoeia. So, yeah. What's the sound that fire makes? Whoosh. Okay. So that was our first little segment. Here's what we've got so far. The land was leveled, all life removed from the vicinity to make way for Camp Beksiński, Stones were split. Stones were split with the ringing metal pickaxes of those meant to live there. Thin wooden walls erupted from the barren soil, barely enough to block the howling winds. Bunks were made from the pallets food arrived on for those in charge. None of it was spared for those within. It only... let's see. None of... I want to be more specific than it. The sustenance. How do you spell sustenance? Cute. None of the sustenance was spared for those within. It only took one night for the first shot to ring out, the first cry of the creature to be heard on the outskirts of Camp Beksiński. The being was small and thin, scrounging around on all four emaciated limbs. No eyes glinted in the torchlight, a monster of pure darkness. As the day drudged on, more shots rang out. The pile of corpses rose from the shallow graves just outside the barbed fences, testament to the cruelty of humanity. At night, the sounds of pilfered pockets and broken dreams filled the air. Photographs formerly stitched into the seams of peasant clothing were now freed. Darkened by bloodstains, they littered the faces of those who once held them dear, left to the whims of the wind. Scritch, scritch. The hunched-over creature scrambled... Tense shift? Scrambled over the piles, picking up the open wounds left by the caretakers. With each rattling breath, it consumed the dark miasma emanating from the evidence of torture. Each lungful caused its limbs to lengthen, torso to deepen with shadows, and nails to extend with broken cracks. Word got around of the monster of Beksiński. Eyes would peer in the darkness of starless nights, wondering if each rasping sound was a herald of damnation. Those interred thought of it as a personification of their own suffering, while others deemed it something summoned by the blackest of magics only the lesser folk knew. They would need to starve the magic out of them faster. Whoosh. So now I need to do the fiery blaze and the people coming to what's the word? Not relieve. Shoot. I can't think of the word. Liberate. There we go. Come to liberate the camp. Does the creature fight back? Does the creature dissipate? Do they have to kill the creature? I do not know. But I think we've already fulfilled the prompt itself. So let's get going on to the ending, I guess. Oh, stretch. Okay. Hopefully this text is big enough you can actually read it. Make it a little bigger just in case. There we go. Okay. Whoosh. Exclamation point. As I can. And let's go with the final sprint. Flames licked, hot and fierce at the glassless windows. Not at, out. Of each. I don't know what you would call the building. It's not an outpost. It's not a bunker. I'll just put building and research it later. Each building those unlucky enough to be locked in. The flames licked hot and fierce out the glassless windows of each building. Those unlucky souls were locked in. And by the hot metal bars melting the palms of their hands with each grasp towards freedom. Maybe not banned, but barred. There we go. No, barred and bars. No! Trapped. In the palms of their hands with each grasp towards freedom. Siren pierced their ears. The liberators on their way, but not fast enough. Okay, I'm going dark. No, why? Okay, with their dying screams carried on the wind, sunset fell. The sun fell below the red horizon. The creature could take no more. A bellow as deep as the pits of hell, and as gravelly as brimstone, echoed over the camp. He would not stand by any longer. Lunging on his I don't want to say elongated, but nails gripping into the charred sail. Whatever. Okay. Nails gripping into the charred soil. What did he do? Did he charge at the people in charge of the camp? Did he try to free those that are stuck? What is he gonna do? Should it be he or should it be it? I'm gonna go with it. Race to the plaza. Gasps of the dying and those and the onlookers like there as the creature of pain and suffering was revealed at last. Harsh spotlights flooded the area. Their blue tints illuminating the gauze wrapped face. Straight with its appendages had multiplied, as had its size. As large as a tank and as fierce as an oppressed nation. All 6 arms reached farther than seemed possible. Seething. Weaponry mounted on the observation towers, wrenching them, twisting them from their seats. They're bolted seats. As those consigned to the flames, quieted. The monster grew. How do I want to end this? Death. Death and quiet. Monster view. Shadows lift from its sides, swiping swaths of men off their feet, plucking their sight from their eyes. Leaving their final visions. The flames dwindled to embers. The scattered ashes dancing across the... Did I say scorched soil earlier? Whatever. Okay. Scorched soil. Blessing it to give way to life. With their final sacrifice. The liberators rolled into the camp, only to see the twisted remains of metal, melted metal, and splintered smoldering wood. Molten metal. There we go. Hmm. I want them to do a reconnaissance and find one kid, and the monster will protect the one kid, I think. So the liberators rolled into camp, only to see the twisted remains of molten metal and splintered, smoldering wood. Reconnaissance teams sifted through the debris. Only to find a lone survivor. A 6-year-old boy. Ooh, 6-year-old boy whose eyes did not reflect the torch light. So maybe all the pain and suffering became a person, or possessed the person. But normal people's eyes don't reflect like animal eyes do in the dark. But I don't know, I still think it's cool. Yeah. So, about 50 seconds left. This is 623 words. Definitely a rough draft. There's the right who's. Okay. So, yeah. Let me read this for you. I'll pause the timer. Make it even bigger. The camp. So the prompt was, a creature scrambles on all fours around the camp complex, feasting on the horrors around it, the pain of those interred. The longer the camp is open, the larger and more haunting the creature becomes. The land was leveled, all life removed from the vicinity to make way for Camp Beksiński. Stones were split with the ringing metal pickaxes of those meant to live there. Thin wooden walls erupted from the barren soil, barely enough to block the howling winds. Bunks were made from the pallets food arrived on for those in charge. None of the sustenance was spared for those within. I like would be. None of the sustenance would be spared for those within. It only took one night for the first shot to ring out, the first cry of the creature to be heard on the outskirts of Camp Beksiński. The being was small and thin, scrounging around on all four emaciated limbs. No eyes glinted in the torchlights. A monster of pure darkness. As the days drudged on, more shots rang out. The pile of corpses rose from the shallow graves just outside the barbed fences, testaments of the cruelty of humanity. At night, the sounds of pilfered pockets and broken dreams filled the air. Photographs formerly stitched into the seams of peasant clothing were now freed. Darkened by bloodstains, they littered the faces of those who once held them dear, left to the whims of the wind. Scritch, scritch. The hunched-over creature scrambled over the piles, picking at the open wounds left by the caretakers. With each rattling breath, it consumed the dark miasma emanating from the evidence of torture. Each lungful caused its limbs to lengthen, torso to deepen with shadows, and nails to extend with broken cracks. Word got around of the monster of Beksiński. Eyes would peer into the darkness of starless nights, wondering if each rasping sound was a herald of damnation. Those interred thought of it as a personification of their own suffering, while others deemed it something summoned by the blackest of magics. Only the lesser folk knew. They would need to starve the magic out of them faster. Whoosh. The flames licked hot and fierce out the glassless windows of each building. Those unlucky souls were locked in, trapped by the hot metal bars, melting the palms of their hands with each grasp towards freedom. The sirens pierced... Is that the right sirens? Yes. The sirens pierced their ears. The liberators on their way, but not fast enough. With their dying screams carried on the wind, the sun fell below the red horizon. The creature could take no more. A bellow as deep as the pits of hell and as gravelly as brimstone echoed over the camp. It would not stand by any longer. Lunging on its elongated feet, nails gripping into the charred soil, it raced to the plaza. Gasps of the dying and the onlookers alike filled the air as the creature of pain and suffering was revealed at last. Harsh spotlights flooded the area, their blue tints illuminating the gauze-wrapped face streaked with crimson. Its appendages had multiplied, as had its size. As large as a tank and as fierce as an oppressed nation. All 6 arms reached farther than seemed possible, seizing the weaponry mounted on the observation towers, wrenching them, twisting them from their bolted seats. As those consigned to the flames grew deathly quiet, the monster grew. Shadows licked from its sides, swiping swaths of men off their feet, plucking their sight from their eyes, leaving their final visions the consequences of their own doing. Flames dwindled to embers, the scattered ashes dancing across the scorched soil, blessing it to give way to life in the future with their final sacrifice. The liberators rolled into the camp, only to see the twisted remains of molten metal and splintered, smoldering wood. Reconnaissance teams sifted through the debris, only to find the lone survivor, a 6-year-old boy. A 6-year-old boy whose... Let me take out boy. A 6-year-old whose eyes did not reflect the torchlight. So maybe the kid is just traumatized and is his own embodiment of sorrow? I don't know. It's kind of open-ended. So yeah, that is my little write a flash fiction with me, but with bigger screen. So hopefully that helped. It was definitely a dark subject, but those paintings, man. So yes, hopefully this will help you be able to figure out how to go about doing your own flash. I like having prompts, I like having paintings, I like having words to include, a mixture, whatever helps. So that's it from me today, and I'll see you all later. Bye!